Hey,
Back.
awesome. So Tesla opened up officially the supercharger network to other vehicles. Like when was it?
Ooh,
Yesterday? Day before
ooh,
yesterday.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm kind of conflicted, but I think it's a good
You're not
thing. No,
conflicted.
I love it. I mean, because now everyone can use. Well, I mean, there's only 8 stations open so far, but I had to visit it, and they're there's a magic dock that you can use with other cars, right? So there's
Do they call
one.
it a magic dot though?
Yeah, it's called a magic dock. It was about 70 miles away.
Magic
Um,
dock. Hmm.
so what you do is you use the Tesla app and you release this magic dock. Then you can plug it into your Mustang Mach-E, your Rivian, your Ford F-150 Lightning, maybe if it reaches. But it's awesome. So that's gonna enable like all the other EVs to do long distance travel.
Yeah.
Um, and there was some. I talked to some of the Tesla guys when I was there, and they seemed cool with it. Like, the guy when I first pulled up, he was like texting his friends, like some guy with a truck thinks he's gonna charge here, and then he saw me plug in, so his mind was blown. But no, it worked great. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're super excited about it.
I am because that makes like other vehicles besides Tesla like way more valuable and usable like right
Yeah.
away. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that does open up the door for like purchasing outside of Tesla, right? So,
yeah, for sure. And I mean, in areas like LA where people live in apartments and they use the superchargers all the time for charging, that'd be a problem. They're probably not going to put them there. Um, but this charger was like in the middle of nowhere in like upper
yeah,
state
it
New
looked like
York.
based off your video, I'm sure you're going to share that link. Based
Oh
off the
yeah, I'm gonna
video, it
put the
looked like there
video
was
there.
nothing around you.
Yeah, yeah. The stations they put were like in upper state New York and real lightly used. And like one guy I was talking to, he said he drives 400 miles a day in his Model 3.
Ooh.
And he said he
Well,
charges there every day, and he's like the only one there. So that's why they chose those stations. People were commenting in my video that there's gonna be fights, breaking out. Like they're not gonna put it at like busy stations. It's gonna be just because you can't. You have to block one of the stalls when you're charging with a non Tesla because of the cable location.
yeah,
So
yeah. And
like
that cable's pretty short too,
it's
right?
very short, yeah, for efficiency, and those cables are really expensive. So Tesla makes them short. You back the car up. It's on the port side of the car for Tesla, but like on Rivian, it's on the starboard side, but it's on the front, right? So,
Yeah.
but basically, you have to block another station. You have to use two
Did you,
stations.
did you just say starboard?
Yeah, it's like a boat. Um, so just so you're sure what side it is. But no, it worked. It worked great. I ripped it up there, charged, came back, no problem. Way easier than any other, public charger. Um,
That was a 70-mile trek for
each
you.
way,
Jeez.
and the YouTubers still beat me there. I was the third truck there, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Marcus Brownlee like beat me there by like an hour or something.
Yeah.
All right, so what do we want to talk about with Wi-Fi 7 today?
Wi-Fi 7,
Yeah, let's
yeah.
talk about Wi-Fi 7 real quick because I know we
Yeah,
have
that's
some other
coming up a
things.
lot, right? Right.
Yeah, it's coming up this last week because there was a conference. Everyone's talking about Wi-Fi 7, um, but it's a while off, right? Like, what's the roadmap? I know you can't say much, but
Well, no, no, no. I'll talk to it. So, yeah, obviously we'll have Wi-Fi 7. uh, we're, it sounds like the end of Q3, somewhere around there, maybe the beginning of Q4, but we'll see.
okay,
Yeah, we'll have we'll have multiple versions come out at the same time. Typically, we'll come out with one version. This time around, we'll come out with multiple versions at the same time. So that's the goal. I'm not saying that's actually going to happen that way. It could be that we work on one particular AP that's Wi-Fi 7, and
yeah.
then we launch the others after. But we're trying to do them at the same time.
And again, like Ingenious is business class equipment, so you're not trying to be the first one out there. Like I'm sure Linksys will release a Wi-Fi 7 router if they haven't already.
Yeah, I mean, there's consumer routers out there with Wi-Fi 7
Yeah,
already, I
right.
believe.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Like we don't even look at that stuff anymore. because it
Yeah.
doesn't make any difference. Like because you know, Wi-Fi 7 is going to have 320 megahertz channels, right, and 6 gigahertz.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're advertising like 46 gigabits per second max connection speed, right? Which
Yeah.
no one can really use for anything. And if
Oh,
you
we're gonna have 320 megahertz in in businesses and schools and everywhere.
yeah, no way, it won't work. So that's only for home. I know you're joking there. So yeah, I mean like 320 megahertz. You only have like one or two, three channels maybe
That's
available
outlet. Yeah, that's like operating on 160 megahertz or even 80 megahertz.
at 2.4
You're only really
gigahertz.
doing that at home where you have no interference, right?
Right, right. You use it at home, but then your neighbors may interfere with you anyway if you're using those kind of channels.
Yeah.
So it's probably gonna be 160 megahertz default for like business situations. Maybe there's enough spectrum probably.
Yeah, but did you hear yourself? 160 megahertz
Oh,
wide
it's
channels in a
huge. Yeah,
business
I mean
application is huge.
it's huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
It's it's
which
what 4 times
we're
more or
using right
something?
now. I mean, I'm connected right now at over a gigabit, 1.4 with my laptop, right, at 6 gigahertz.
Yeah, I'm on 6 gigahertz right now. Oh no, I'm not. I'm on 5 gigahertz right
um, so yeah, we're already using 6 gigahertz. I don't think that wider channel isn't really a big deal for businesses. But combining the channels is going to probably be a bigger deal. So you have multi-link now, which will combine 2.4, 5.8, and 6 gigahertz, right? And I think maybe for more reliability, if yeah, it can provide faster speeds and less latency and stuff, but probably more for make it like a more reliable connection.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even with Wi-Fi 6E, we're already seeing like gigabit Wi-Fi, right?
Oh, we are for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
So
um,
this will expand it even further, and you're actually using multiple frequencies as well.
yeah, for sure. So you right now you can get pretty much all of these features by using a Wi-Fi 6E access point like the ECW 336, right?
That's right.
Um,
Yeah.
so or just sprinkling that in with some Wi-Fi 6 APs like the ECW 230. You don't need Wi-Fi 6 APs everywhere, right? Or maybe just in your office area or high throughput where you actually have 6 gigahertz devices, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But I do like the ECW 336. That's my favorite AP. I have it. I have them in my house now.
Yeah. That's what I use in my house. The 336.
and and I try to stay on 6 gigahertz as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. You're pretty close to your AP too, right?
Yeah, I have two of them. I could
But
probably put one more. I mean, yeah, the AP's right there. But I mean, I have one down in the basement also, and those two pretty much cover the house. I could probably put one more to get 100% 6 gigahertz coverage.
yeah.
Um, when the phone comes out, when the iPhone 15
September, right?
comes out, yeah, then maybe I'll add one more, right? Um,
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
so
Definitely, the distance is shorter for sure.
it's a little shorter, but the reliability's higher, so
Yep.
you never disconnect, and you get the throughput all the time. So it's almost like, even though it's shorter, it's almost like it's more range, right? Because it's more usable range than even 5 gigahertz right now.
Yeah, anybody that uses that little indicator on your laptop on the lower right hand
Yeah.
corner, that little Wi-Fi signal,
Right.
it'll look like a poor signal, but the throughput and performance is still like really, really good.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I think that, that's gonna throw a lot of people off because anybody that's using that, I mean, you shouldn't be using that, but
Even with Wi-Fi 6 APs, I hear that sometimes like, oh, well, they're not as high power as the 11AC was, right?
yeah, true.
And I'll have people, I replaced with the Wi-Fi 6 APs. I thought it was going to be better signal, and I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, it is better signal. You're just not seeing it on the signal meter on your laptop, right? How does it work? And then
I wouldn't even call it a meter.
yeah,
It's like
single
the
display,
icon.
whatever it's called. You got to ask them how it works. How's your quality of service compared to the old 11AC? And then once they look at that, then they're good. They never call back. They're like, yeah,
Yeah.
this just works.
Yeah.
All right, so you wanted to talk about something else.
Wi-Fi calling.
Wi-Fi calling. Yes,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi calling over.
Yeah, something I was really impressed with. I was recently at an apartment complex, like an MDU, and we were testing Wi-Fi calling, and um, so there were two of us there. One person was testing on Google Fi, so they were basically using best effort Wi-Fi calling, right? So it's
Yeah.
just like, so his particular call was just like okay. Whereas I was using this new, I'll call it carrier grade Wi-Fi calling, and the reason I would call it carrier grade is because you're actually making a connection to the telco, like an
Yeah.
AT&T or T-Mobile or Verizon. So yeah, there's a new configuration in cloud where you can enable this Wi-Fi calling, and you're basically putting in what is called a EPDG server.
I'm
And
showing it now.
oh, you are okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm showing the
yeah, you're
settings.
basically putting in the telco or the telco, I guess you can call it, or the cellular provider's server information. And what our access point is doing is recognizing that somebody's trying to make a Wi-Fi call, and we tag that or we prioritize that, and we send it off to this server, the telco server. Once we send it to the server, we're actually creating, well, we're not creating, but the telco is creating a VPN connection, IPsec connection to the phone. And so we're prioritizing the traffic and setting up the gateway. And what that equates to basically at the end of the day is a really good call. So you and I made a call while I was at this MDU, and we did a Teams call, we did a Skype call, and we just did a normal Wi-Fi call, and I walked that whole property without any disruption whatsoever. Like it didn't digitize the voice or anything like that. It was a super clear call because we're prioritizing the traffic and we have this connection going with the telco's server.
Yeah, for sure. So we're talking a little bit about the process. It's a little complicated how it works, but so you're basically the access point detects that the phone's using WMM for the Wi-Fi call,
Yep.
and then it routes it to the gateway, and the gateway sends it out to the EPDG gateway, right?
Yeah.
Like for
Yep.
the carrier.
Yep. The carrier.
And once it gets there to the carrier, then a VPN's formed between your phone and the EPDG gateway, so that
Yep.
the traffic's secured.
Yeah. And so for the iPhone, you can go in and just enable Wi-Fi calling, right?
Yeah, and the thing to know about that is, if you want to know for sure that that you're on a Wi-Fi call, then you go to the control screen. We have to swipe up. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so when you see AT&T Wi-Fi in there, that means you're set up to do a Wi-Fi call. That means the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi is strong enough; it's able to contact the gateway. Now you'll see that even if it's not configured, right? But it just won't work as well. It's best effort.
Yep.
But if you don't see that AT&T Wi-Fi or wherever your carrier's Wi-Fi icon, that means it's not on Wi-Fi calling.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons why. If the signal's not strong enough, it
Yeah.
does some background testing, I think.
Yeah, so part of the idea behind that is if if I'm in like a condominium, for example, and I'm walking around, not just around the property, but if I go into a parking garage, and if you have your Wi-Fi, placed properly within the parking garage, for example, typically that's where you see there's no cellular coverage there. But if you have Wi-Fi access points in the parking lot, you can make these calls. So it's a really great feature to implement, and it's actually really easy. You can do a search online for these servers and list those servers within our setup in cloud. So pretty much anybody can use it. You just have to configure it or
Yep.
understand what those servers are.
So there's no reason not to use it. You can set it up, and even we haven't even, like, if you set the wrong gateway or wherever, I think your phone would still go out and find the gateway that it's looking for, right?
You do want to make sure you have the correct. You do want to make sure you have the gateways in there. So what I did at my house is we're on AT&T, but I listed them all because I was just testing different options. But I mean, you can easily find a list of them for AT&T,
Yeah.
Verizon, T-Mobile, and so on. So you can just list them all. But in your scenario, I know you're on AT&T. You can just list the AT&T, and they have them for each region. You have like a West territory, a East territory, and so I just listed all AT&T and all Verizon basically, just to be
Yeah.
on the safe side. I
Yeah.
don't know if you necessarily need it or not, but you do want to have that info in there.
For sure. You got to put it in there. It's not going to be working, right?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about today?